I shot a music video with no budget, overnight, during COVID, and somehow we did it in 7 hours. Let's talk about it. Okay, so if you haven't seen the music video yet, there's a link right here. There's also a link in the description below, so go ahead and watch that, then come back to the video. But before you leave, you know what's about to happen. Make sure you slap that like button. And if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Okay, now that you're back, let's break this down. I've been thinking a lot about how to provide you guys the most value in a concise format for this YouTube video because your time is valuable. And I think it best makes sense to kind of just tell you the story quickly and go over like the obstacles we faced, how we overcame them, the takeaways, and then I also want to go over like the actual production, the lighting of the music video. Just basically everything we learned and did for this project. All right, here we go. So at the time of planning this, music videos were kind of like a newer thing for me. Most of what I shoot is like athletic, lifestyle, active content. I love just shooting energy, and so music actually fits really well with that. I just hadn't really gotten my feet wet yet. So January of 2020, this is pre-COVID. Do you remember what pre-COVID was like? I like barely do. It feels like it's been like 5 years. I don't know. So pre-COVID, I had only done a couple of music videos. They weren't like very special. And I wanted to just like try again and do it better. So I contacted my friend Casey. She's an artist here in Denver. And I would say this is kind of the first obstacle. At the time I was facing basically inexperience. What you need to do when you're inexperienced is just go try things. Do what you can with what you have. There's a term in the business world, it's called MVP, and it means minimum viable product. That means like what's the smallest thing that is viable for a music video. It's like, is it in focus? Is it to the song? And is like something happening in the video? Do those things exist? Yes, then let's start with that. And let's build on it, do it again, repetition, and eventually, even though the first one wasn't like your big, like perfect vision, like you build towards that. So that's what I did. I was like, I wanna get into music videos. Who do I know in Denver that has a song? My friend Casey. So we met up, we shot this. I think it was January 1st, 2020. We filmed this music video. It was with all my friends. It was at her house. We had a great time. It was like one of the highlights of 2020. And I left that experience wanting to do it again. And that is where Grace comes in. She's another friend I had here in Denver who is also a singer-songwriter. She had songs ready to go. I said, hey, let's make a music video. She said, let's do it. We picked a song, we started to plan a date, and then I think a week later, COVID hits. And what do you do when COVID hits? I mean, we kind of all were forced to become open-handed, flexible, and just kind of hold things a little loosely, see where things go. So we tried to shoot Wolves, which was the original song that we chose in November. Didn't pan out, it was snowed insane the day of, and we were like, let's just reschedule this. We ended up just having to pivot. We chose a different song, and that was Ghost. We tried to shoot that in April or May. COVID again canceled that. It always seemed like we were about to film, and then we couldn't film, but we were eventually able to film. So if I didn't already make this clear, obstacle number 2 is COVID. What do? What's the response to COVID? You gotta be flexible. You have to learn to pivot, be open-handed and see what else you can make. If it's not working, what else can you go do with what you have? Obstacle number 3 would be our budget. We basically had no budget. We had a little bit of money, and all of that went to renting the location, getting a U-Haul to get the piano in this location, and food, of course, because you gotta feed some people. The response to no budget is you work within your means. You don't try and go do $1 million VFX for your music video. You just shoot something simple and basic, and you learn from it. And that's exactly what we did, and I thought it turned out pretty well. Another obstacle that we used to our advantage was our time. We had to be very, very patient with this process because of all the rescheduling. From the time we first started talking till the time we shot, it was 1.5 years. So we had 1.5 years to plan. Grace was practicing dance. I was planning out the visuals. For the pre-production for Ghost, I did several things. One, created a mood board, worked with my cinematographer on like, this is the kind of lighting that we want. I also created kind of like a mock pre-visualization in Premiere. I screen recorded actual music videos and I put them into this big timeline. I kind of planned out the story. Like at this moment, we're probably gonna be seeing her singing. Here's where the B-roll comes in. This is the story at this moment. It was so helpful to have the mood board, the previs, and then we created a shot list. And then next to the shot list, we actually put stills of about the focal length and angle of each shot, just so we could quickly see like, that's what I'm envisioning. And all of this planning and pre-production was what enabled us to shoot very efficiently, and we did this all in 7 hours. Now, ideally, I would have liked to have more time, but here's another obstacle we faced. we had to shoot overnight. Now, why did we have to shoot this overnight? Because the location that we chose, it had massive skylights, like several of them, and we didn't have the budget or the means to cover them all and make it dark during the day. It also had huge windows. It was just, we were going for the exact opposite of what was like naturally there. So we were like, we have to shoot this overnight. So all that planning helped us. We started at 6 p.m. and we were done around 1 a.m. We were planning till 6 a.m., but boy, were we happy to be done at 1. Yes, there were a few other shots I would have liked to get, but again, for a 7-hour shoot with no budget, overnight, during COVID, I think we pulled off something pretty cool. Let's talk production because that's the fun part. Literally everything in this video up until now has been the nightmare of pre-production for this project and the waiting and the waiting. It really wasn't that bad, but it did pay off. It gave us extra time to plan. Okay, so how did we shoot this? Sometimes in life, you just get lucky and you have a friend that has 2 red cameras and you shoot a music video with the 2 reds, okay? Don't hate the player, hate the game. Hate the game. No, in all seriousness, it does pay off to build good relationships in this business. Yes, you can probably do a lot of things solo, but at a certain point, collaboration is key. And that's exactly what we did. Nick Brusso is a cinematographer and a great friend of mine here in Denver. Him and I have worked on several projects over the years, and he wanted to get creative with us and shoot the music video, so he graciously came along, brought his gear, got his cameras, and we were able to shoot on reds. If you don't have a red, don't let that stop you. Go make what you want to make. Thanks again, Nick. Now, why do we have 2 reds? I'm gonna do an entire, another entire music video on this about the most efficient way to shoot just about any video, and it's to have 2 cameras. I know not all of us can afford 2 cameras, but if this is your profession and you have most of the gear you need, I would highly suggest investing in a second camera because you can always have one on your Ronin, one handheld, and you can do just about any shoot like that. Again, I'm gonna do another video on that, so stay tuned. As far as the music video, there was kind of 3 scenes happening in this video. There was Grace dancing, there was Grace at the piano actually singing, and then there was kind of this third storyline of Grace kind of building up to reach out towards the ghost man, right? And then he disappears, and that's kind of like the third storyline. So let's go over the lighting and how we shot each of these 3 scenes, starting with the dance. Super easy. We just used a top light, Aperture 300D Mark II with a skirt on it and lots of haze to create this nice kind of focused, soft pool of light for Grace to dance in. With our cameras, one of us was always on the Ronin, one of us was always handheld, just shooting kind of like 45 or 90-degree angles from each other just to get kind of a nice coverage, wide, medium, tight, wide, can I talk? Wide, medium, tights of everything. And then once in a while we hopped on the boosted board with the Ronin to get some like sweeping shots. That was fun, gave us ideas for other shoots in the future. Okay, let's move on to Grace at the piano. So you can see here, she is at the piano. Like I just said, we kept the top light. It's a great base. It also just looks nice. But we added 2 other lights. The first one was our backlight because this was actually the only scene that we could actually take advantage of our anamorphic lenses and get that nice flare, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, just in retrospect, besides the quality difference and using the full sensor for widescreen, the flare is really the main difference with anamorphic lenses. So we didn't really take too much advantage of the fact that we used them, but hey, lesson learned. The backlight was an Aperture 300D Mark II with the Fresnel attachment on it, and then we added an edge light, which was the Nova P300C, set to like an orange gold color, just to kind of edge her hair as a hair light, because that's what a hair light is, it's on her hair. How did we shoot this? We had the red Gemini, mainly on the Dana dolly, and then for wides, we did a couple on the Komodo on the Ronin. So pretty simple, a couple different angles, pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Last scene was her kind of approaching, interacting with the ghost man. She reaches out, he disappears. That's it. It was really all top light here. It was right after the dance, she reaches out for him. We also got to use the boosted board here for these couple shots, which was really fun. We were just like orbiting around them, and that was really cool. So that wraps up production. It's pretty straightforward once you break it down. Post-production was very easy, very straightforward. There was only one shot that was kind of complicated. It was the VFX shot, and that was just a matter of shooting him separately, shooting her separately, getting a clean plate, and then just adding a glitch transition when she reaches out for him. Otherwise, it was just like a couple cross dissolves and just straight cuts. The easiest way, in my opinion, for music videos like this is to do a multi-cam cut of just like the singing portion, then do a multi-cam cut of just the dance, and then splice in the B-roll where you need to. You can kind of see them highlighted here on my timeline, how it worked, and then I just adjust from there based on the feel and the emotion of the song. I think my favorite thing about this music video and music videos in general is adding that visual storytelling to an auditory experience. You hear songs on Spotify, you hear them on the radio, and you can pick up on the artist's intentions for sure, and like what they're trying to say through the song, but then if you add this visual film on top of it, then it starts to become multi-layered, multi-textured. And what was really cool about this film was we actually had another art form, dance, in there as well. And so we kind of had this multi-textured, multi-layered music video, which was really fun. And again, I was just working within my means, working with what I have. Music videos is something I want to get more into. And so this was a really fun experiment. I actually got to sit down with Grace. We talked about the inspiration for the song. What does it feel like to get ghosted in a relationship, or even with just like your dreams or with business or something you really believe in, but then it doesn't go your way? Like, what do you do? We talked about creativity, other things. I think you guys might find value in that conversation as well. I know this video has been long, but if you're interested, I'll play those clips now. I'm gonna end my portion here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. Don't forget, slap that like button. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
The song is a very vulnerable song. I mean, everybody's been ghosted. Basically, this idea of like, I'm so sick of falling for this idea that isn't there.